It's time to do our worst of the week, Doc. Hawkgirl number 4, Jadzia Axlerod, and Amunkai Monupan. I probably got that name wrong as far as the artist. This was not my doing, Doc. I did not want you to read this book. It's the people that voted for it. They're the ones that hate you, not me.
I'm going to fly to each and every one of their houses, ring the doorbell, and kick them in the balls. Jadzia Axlerod is not a writer. All this was a bunch of nonsense strewn on paper that had nothing approaching a coherent plot.
Doc, this is a self-insert Wankfest, and there's no other way to describe it.
I think you're actually correct there. This is a Galaxy comic masquerading as a Hawkgirl comic, the same way that Steve Orlando's Iceman book is a Romeo book masquerading as a Iceman book.
We're not going to be able to cover every single bad thing about this comic book because that would take us at least an hour and a half. We don't have that much time for a comic book review. The first thing that really just stands out, this should not be called Hawkgirl number 4. It should be Galaxy and her lesbian friends number 4. I don't know. That's really what the book is about. It's all about Galaxy. You even see that Fox witch lady go into the past and she's tormenting her when she was a child. And there's so much weird dialogue, and it always leads to like a big romantic kiss between the lady with the dyke shirt on. I don't think we're supposed to be saying that. I thought that was like a pejorative. And it's just all about these chicks getting together and how happy they are to be like swinging or whatever. And of course, they're going to the game, and it gets interrupted by a dragon, which appears kind of out of nowhere. But I don't even know what to think at the beginning of this thing, and I don't know what to think about any of this stuff other than I didn't really know who Galaxy was before this comic book, but I despise this character now.
The only thing I knew after the first 4 or 5 pages is apparently a Metropolis-style hot dog is the grossest thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
It was a little bit revolting, even though I knew it was a comic book invention and not real.
Sports people eat gross things. That's what it felt like. You know, Jadzia Axlerod is probably somebody that says sports ball. By the time I got to that, I was like, oh, and you can go fuck yourself too. I can't decide if it was a more or less cringy panel than the mustard and bigotry. And why do these weirdos always have an obsession with hot dogs?
There was a random dragon that just shows up. Apparently, the Fox lady that's a witch that was tormenting Galaxy as a kid decided to open a portal over Metropolis. Not really sure why, but a dragon shows up, and this dragon isn't any normal dragon. Like, it breathes kryptonite fire, and it can use EMP if that's your weakness. This dragon can figure out whatever your weakness is. Don't know why. And next thing you know, just like some random chicks show up. Fucking Supergirl is there all of a sudden. The lady version of Steel, Natasha Irons or whatever her name is. And it gets kind of really weird. They just keep lusting over Supergirl. She's like, down, boy, he'll stay, because that's really hilarious to say to a dragon. And she says, I have a girlfriend, okay? I barely even noticed Supergirl, even though she's talking about her tasty cakes on the prior page. And then Natasha says, there's no way on God's earth that is true. And then Supergirl, who apparently likes the attention, ease up on her, Nat. Like, I can't hear your pulse race every time I enter the room. And if you had a male character do this, I think Gail Simone would be relevant again.
Look, I get it. You like girls. You don't have to put it literally on every page. This would be
on like every character, though, Doc. On every character.
Here's the thing. Apparently, it's okay to just be the object of lust, because Supergirl exists in this comic exclusively to be the object of lust for every woman in this comic. She doesn't have any agency. I'm pretty sure you weirdos bitched and moaned about every single time that a woman didn't have some part of the plot in the story. You fucking stuck Supergirl in here to be nothing but lesbian eye candy. We need a lesbian version of the Bechdel test.
We could probably use that, Doc, and the editors could use it as like a little point of reference so we don't get just fucking drecked like this. Like I said, there's no fucking story here. There's no coherent plot. I don't even want to call it a jigsaw puzzle because I don't think any of this will fit together at the end. So there's plenty of room to do this. There's plenty of room to objectify Supergirl and every other female character in this comic book because Jadzia Axlerod has a kink or whatever. But why even make the comic book? It doesn't feel like this should be even being published. DC knows this sucks. They know it's awful.
No, I mean, does Penthouse still make comics? There is exactly zero attempt to try to explain the motivation here, try to explain the plot points. How the fuck does this dragon get there?
we have the big battle with the dragon. The dragon can conform to whatever their weaknesses are. They can, like, I guess it can sense the weakness and shoot it out of its mouth or whatever. And they decide, apparently Galaxy now has the ability to supercharge Hawkgirl, all the past lives of Shiara, who's not in Kendra anymore. Shiara is with Hawkwoman, who's with Hawkman. None of those things exist in Kendra anymore. But all of a sudden, they're like roaming around her, all the past lives of actually Shiara, not Kendra, and they're protecting her from the dragon fire so she can destroy the dragon while Galaxy is doing the Zen meditation pose flying in the sky or whatever. And I don't understand why any of this happened.
No, none of it makes sense. The logic behind this is, well, there isn't any. Like, they don't even bother to explain how or why this would work. We're going to turn your past lives into armor, and then it's going to.
Why would Galaxy be able to do that? What is even her fucking power set? Because it seems to change every issue.
I don't dude, don't ask me. I didn't write this fucking piece of shit.
But you're the comic book expert. You've been reading for so much longer than I have that this might be beyond my level of comprehension as a reader. Perhaps I needed to be reading comic books for 38 years to even be able to jump into something this complex.
No, you just have to wear a helmet and ride the short bus. There's no coherent through line through this. There's no logic to how it works. There's not even an attempt to.
It's like Alice in Wonderland, but without the majesty, and actually happening in a universe where there are supposed to be rules.
Look, it's a pure guess. And apparently this chick manages to guess right every time. There is no explanation for why pulling her lives out of her and turning them into a swirling mass of light birds would do anything whatsoever. But it just conveniently fucking works. Perfectly.
And it also leads us to what's, I believe, supposed to be a very emotional moment, because when we get past this, we get to this ending moment. And Shiara, it's not Shiara, this is Kendra, because this actually isn't Hawkwoman. This is somebody that's not even connected to them anymore. Like, freaks out, and she's all upset about Carter Hall and Shiara going off and being happy together. And I still don't understand why this happened, but she seems to be a little bit bitter here. She says, Carter and Shiara, they got to have reasons. They got to have purpose. The whole point of this reincarnation baloney was to atone for past sins, which they did. Not me. I have a memory of Shiara ascending to her great reward, but I didn't experience it. I'll never experience it. It wasn't for me. And I guess she's really jealous of Carter and Shiara because they were resurrected like 1,000 times and then finally atoned for the sins, and now they get to live together happily. But I don't understand why she's mad at them. If anyone should understand it, it would be her, since she apparently experienced all the lives that Shiara had.
There's no rhyme or reason for how this makes any sense.
Well, it makes her vulnerable, apparently, to the Fox Witch.
Yeah, apparently it does, because we finish up with a cliffhanger page after she cuts the dragon's head off with a sword she turned out of the past life light bird's armor.
I don't know where the hilt came from. It was just in her hand.
Yep. I guess by using all that up, maybe, I guess the logic is by pulling all those past lives out of her, it left a void where the vampire wolf witch lady can then insert herself into Kendra's past to corrupt her as a child.
But she's not a child.
Yeah, but now it's going to influence her in the future.
She's been corrupting her and Galaxy as children the whole time?
Yeah, I think so. By going into their past somehow and through magic-y stuff, because...
Are you getting the feeling that I'm getting, that Jadzia Axlerod would rather be like writing a Dungeons and Dragons quest as a dungeon master than actually writing superhero comic books?
I feel like she would rather be writing a new Dungeons and Dragons manual that tells people that you can't be orcs, or that your dungeons have to be handicapped accessible. I feel like that's what she'd
Orcs
rather
are always
be doing.
Trans adjacent.
Yeah. They're trans adjacent minority black lesbians that you're dungeon must have wheelchair ramps. I feel like that's what she'd rather be doing. She didn't even want to play. She just wants to ruin the experience for everyone else. And I feel like that's exactly what she's doing here. She doesn't want to use Hawkgirl. She just wants to ruin her for everybody else and get Galaxy over so that she could do a Galaxy comic.
Well, the good news is I don't think she's going to be ruining Hawkgirl for anybody, because I don't think anyone's paying attention to this. Even the people that are looking at it are doing it for mocking reasons. No one's taking this seriously. I don't know. I've read issues 1, 2, and now 4. I kind of skipped out on 3, but I would say this is the worst issue that I've read so far. This one was even more or less coherent than issues 1 and 2, which were really bad.
The longer this story plays out, the more meandering and nonsensical it becomes. And I think by the end, I don't even know where it's going to go to. Apparently,
I'm just hoping she gets reborn as a phoenix and everyone can realize she was great always, but when she's reborn, it'll be magnificent.
Yeah, that's probably it. And then her and Galaxy will merge into DC's Phoenix, I guess.
I think she's supposed to merge into Abilene.
Maybe. You're right. I don't know.
That's the impression I get. That's what the writer wants.
Okay. Then I just figured it'd be, oh yeah, because, and then Galaxy will just take over as the not Hawkgirl, but filling Hawkgirl's role forever.
Originally, I'm the one that did the worst thing ever to Doc when I made him review Hawkgirl #1 Jadzia Axlerod a few months ago, but this was all your guys' fault. I left it up to you to vote. I put a poll over on my Patreon, sent a link into the YouTube community tab. People went over there and they decided they wanted to destroy Doc's life, not me. But if you would like to go back and remember just how bad things started out at the beginning, Doc and I did review the very first issue, and this one's on me because I'm the one that asked him to do it, but this one's on you because you made him do it. Check it out in the video description.